Alright, welcome back to our podcast. I'm the gentleman, accompanied by the disturbed Southern Belle.
Hello.
And this episode is going to be a bit shorter from what we've been doing, from what my previous series has been. But we're continuing on with the Belle's last episode with the theme of Valentine's Day. And more specifically, some very unfortunate ending stories. Going to be covering 4 different stories of, say, lovers' quarrels that took place on Valentine's Day.
That did not end well.
That did not end well, no. So, the first is the murder of Tara Grant. So, in Washington Township, Michigan, Stephen Grant and his wife Tara had a rather peaceful marriage until Tara's disappearance until February of 2007. Grant had called the police to report his wife missing on February 14th, saying that she had left their home 5 days earlier. When Tara's torso was found a few weeks later in the family garage, Stephen immediately became a suspect.
I wonder why.
No idea.
No. Because serial killers are very bad about leaving, kidnapping people and then bringing body parts back, apparently, because, you think
Very
that would
questionable decision.
Exactly. You would think they would have found that if they looked, but apparently they didn't even. Did they not search the house or what? Makes you wonder. In other words.
Either way, family and friends were stunned by the murder, as is logical.
Oh yeah, most people are not suspected of doing those types of things. Once you find out they did it, most people it
also
is shocking.
just having a family member murdered or just die suddenly is kind of typically just shocking. And
right, especially like that.
Anyways, went off on a tangent there. Although initially maintaining his innocence, Stephen soon admitted to the murder. After choking Tara to death, he cut up her corpse in his industrial shop in an effort to get rid of it. He was found guilty of second-degree murder, which... Why second degree? That's just first degree murder. That's just flat out murder.
It sounds like they're probably trying to say it probably wasn't premeditated or something. Maybe why second degree? Like in the heat of the moment. That would be my guess.
A crime of passion, so to speak.
Maybe ish.
Which is very ironic.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying that's probably what they tried to make it sound like.
Probably. Either way, he was sentenced to a minimum of 50 years in prison. Not long enough.
Not really, not considering. That's pretty brutal.
Anyways, while some murders appear to come out of nowhere, most are preceded by a long history of violence or threatening behavior, said Dr. Paul Shue, director of the University of Illinois Chicago's Interdisciplinary Center for Research on Violence.
Right.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
Yeah, really.
He was quoted as saying, "Most of the time we see a cycle of violence. The spouse is violent, but then he shows remorse, and there's a honeymoon period.
Right.
Then the tension builds up in the relationship until there's another incident, and the cycle repeats itself tens or hundreds of times."
Right.
End quote. Men who kill after a quote-unquote sudden snap, like Grant seemingly did, are more mysterious, and Shue was reported as saying, "That's a super rare event. The more rare an event, the more difficult it is as a social scientist to study and understand." End quote.
I guess that is kind of true. I mean, generally speaking, men who end up killing is not just out of the blue, no history of any violence whatsoever. In most cases, and I'm not saying it never happens, but he is right. They usually have, even if it's not against their spouse, they usually at least have, like, they've gotten arrested for assault or something.
Yeah.
It's something. They're known for being violent in some way, at some juncture. So that does make sense.
It does. So, the next is the murder of Gregory M. Stack. On February 14th of 2015, Dawn Dixon Bay of Jackson, Michigan, stabbed her boyfriend, Gregory M. Stack, twice in the chest, landing both blows through his heart and killing him instantly.
Good grief.
She claimed the murder was self-defense. Stack's body, however, showed no defensive wounds and was found lying in front of his couch, suggesting that he was sleeping or lying down during the attack.
Oh, gosh.
Dixon's motive. Her defense claimed that Stack had long been abusive towards her and that he threw a dog cage at her before her attack.
A dog cage.
A dog cage.
That's an unusual weapon, but sure.
Dixon was convicted of second-degree murder in 2015 and sentenced to 35 to 70 years in prison.
That one makes you wonder.
So while men statistically are the ones most likely to kill their partners,
Right.
women do kill as well,
Oh,
obviously.
absolutely.
According to Shue, often murder cases where a woman claims she was abused by a partner are referred to as self-help violence, where women feel as if killing their partner is the only way out of the relationship.
Right. I won't say that in some cases it might not be true. It just depends on how bad it is. And, you know,
Right.
sometimes you can't just up and leave. As we've heard of many women leaving and then the men hunting them down anyway and, you know, bad things ensuing. So, I'm not going to say in every case that maybe it's not, but some, they probably just say that to try to get out of it.
Because it's a good excuse.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying that.
It's a safe excuse,
Not
rather.
saying that to take anything away from anybody who legitimately is victimized.
Absolutely not.
But I do know people lie, and yeah, men say it too. Though, oh, it was in self-defense. You know,
Right.
it's always in self-defense. Later.
Self-defense, the most commonly used excuse.
Oh yeah, definitely. In situations like that, especially with relationship type aggression, yeah. A lot, yes.
Either way, Shue was actually reported to have said these women might feel trapped, or that they have no support, or they have no other option.
Right.
They could be fearful of their lives, and so for them, killing their partner is the only way they feel they can escape.
Mm.
And that's the end of that story. Yeah. Anyways, next is the murder of Tomika Peterson. When one partner decides to end a relationship, the other may sometimes wrestle with feelings of betrayal, causing them to lash out.
Right.
Such was the case with a West Palm Beach, Florida man, because of course it was Florida,
Yeah.
Gibson Paul, who shot and killed his ex-girlfriend, Tomika Peterson, on Valentine's Day of 2011. Name one state that has a better chance of something going down like this than Florida.
A lot of bad things happen in Florida, but sadly, a lot of bad things happen everywhere.
Well, true. It's
I
just
mean,
Florida's got
They
a
have the
bigger
reputation
than
of
most.
things, but yeah, it's craziness everywhere.
Either way, police say that Peterson had recently ended her relationship with Paul and was trying to avoid him when he fired the fatal shot as she sat in her car with two friends and a young child.
Oh, God.
Paul was convicted of first-degree murder, aggravated assault, shooting into an occupied vehicle, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. He was sentenced to life in prison, as he should have been.
True.
So, according to Shue, quoting here, domestic violence is all about power and control. Sometimes when men feel a loss of power in the relationship, they resort to violence to try to regain that power.
Right.
Men tend to be more violent in general, and they tend to use their physical size and strength to get what they want. End quote.
That is true in some cases. I mean, it depends on
Yeah.
the man, but yeah, it's definitely not unheard of by any stretch.
So, next story is the murder of Michelle Gomez. So, sometimes feelings of betrayal can intensify into violence when an ex-romantic partner starts to date again. After 17-year-old Michelle Gomez had ended her relationship with her boyfriend, Jerry DeLeon, he confronted her angrily during a salon appointment on Valentine's Day of 2002. Overcome with jealousy, DeLeon approached Gomez while she was getting her hair done with her mother to coax Gomez back into the relationship. When she had refused, DeLeon opened fire, killing Gomez before turning the gun on himself. DeLeon's uncle, Julio Garcia, told the New York Daily News that his nephew was nice, but very jealous. And although DeLeon had a history of violent, threatening behavior towards Gomez, she never pressed charges. sadly, even women who do follow restraining orders actually, after ending relationships, can be victims of a violent attack.
Oh, for God's sake, yeah. I mean,
Restraining orders are useless unless the person's willing to obey
well,
it.
it's not even that. A restraining order is just a piece of paper saying somebody can't do something, but you still got to get a cop out there to, if they come around.
Enforce it.
Right. So if they come up to your house, they could easily get in and do whatever before you could even get anybody out there.
All a restraining order is a preventative measure.
Yeah, I mean, it helps. Some people will try to avoid it, but if they're crazy, yeah, forget it. Yeah, I've heard many men and women getting hurt by people who had restraining orders against them, not necessarily in personal life, but like on, true crime type things. You hear about it, it happens a lot.
Like you said, it's just a piece of paper.
It is. I mean, it essentially is. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having it or anything like that.
Well,
I'm not
no.
telling
It's a
anybody,
safety net.
right, I'm not telling anybody not to get one, but it is only so much. It's not like...
There's only so much a piece of paper can do to
Exactly.
protect you.
You would have to have round the clock, protection, right.
Anyways, she was quoted as saying, "At the end of the day, it's just a piece of paper. It doesn't stop a bullet.
Right.
Women need to assess their risk for a fatal injury, and once they decide to leave the relationship, they may have to disappear. And that's really hard to do, unfortunately."
Yeah, it is. It's not easy just to pick... You think about how hard it would be just to literally pick up and move to somewhere where you had no job, nowhere to go, nowhere to live, and just settle down. It's not that easy. And plus, you're
really
leaving behind possibly all your family, all your friends, anybody you would know, any support. So that's not easy either.
And then if you're leaving behind any trace of yourself, any trace of where you might have gone, it's all pointless.
Right.
You have to be very careful.
Because most people, at the very least, would probably tell family where they're going.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be very difficult just to totally cut ties. And I don't blame them for not wanting to do that. I mean, who would? I mean, you want some sort of support, but it's sickening that it is that bad, that some people are that obsessed with someone, that they can't move on. It is sickening. People are not possessions.
It's awful, like so bad and so prevalent that there are even like organizations and just groups that are specifically created, and actually government funded groups, even some that aren't, that specifically have the purpose of helping people disappear.
Yeah.
Specifically women most of the time.
Most of the time it is women, more often than not.
I can't remember what they're called.
Granted,
I'm sure most people know what I'm talking about.
It's not saying that men couldn't be on the
Just
end of this.
Statistically,
Just statistically, they're not normally the ones that are,
It's mostly women.
Right, because men are normally bigger, stronger than most women. So they do have a more of a fighting chance in some instances, but, not always the case. Some men are just not, fighters, so to speak. They don't want to fight a woman, and I don't blame them for that either. You shouldn't have to fight in your own house, so to speak. But that's not how some people are. They think they can use violence to get whatever they want, and sadly, a lot do.
Of course, there's also the rare circumstance of it being both people.
Yeah, it can be both.
Just
sometimes.
a mutual thing.
Oh God, yeah, it can be both. Just love, just fighting. I mean, I never understood that, but I mean, I guess that's your thing, whatever. But not for me.
No. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Tell us what you think in the comments. Share any stories that you would like us to cover or that you just want to get out there. Hell, share your own stories if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want, we'll cover them on another episode. But I'll turn it over to the bell now for our outro.
So we'll be continuing on with a new series. I haven't quite decided yet what it's going to be, but that'll be on our next episodes. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and don't forget to stay disturbed.